This program is brought to you by the Kentucky Small Business Development Center in Louisville. We provide the professional expertise, tools, and information necessary to help you make sound business decisions. This program is brought to you by the Kentucky Small Business Development Center in Louisville. And we provide the professional expertise, tools, and information necessary to help you make sound business decisions. This program is brought to you by the Kentucky Small Business Development Center in Louisville. And we provide the professional expertise, tools, and information necessary to help you make.
Hey, welcome everybody to another version of Toolkit Tuesday. And today we are going to look at and kind of dive into ways to attract and retain top talent in your business. That's a really big subject that we're hearing about in the economy today, is finding good talent. I'm joined today with Sandy Merritt, who is a certified business coach and employee engagement advisor with the Action Coach here in Louisville, Kentucky. She's a former business owner and HR executive, and she works a lot with business owners, helping them grow their business and develop their teams. I'm Dave Etkin. I'm the director of the Small Business Development Center here in Louisville, Kentucky. We are glad to have you here. And as we go through the program today, if you look down at the bottom of your screen, you'll see the chat feature. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them in there, and we'll kind of keep an eye on that. And we'll be asking Sandy during the presentation or even at the end. So if you would, go ahead and try the chat feature out. Just kind of click say hello and tell us who you are and where you're watching from, so we can make sure you can hear us and you see everything pretty well. So go ahead and give that a try if you would. See if anybody's getting in there. So, yeah. So Sandy, welcome. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So employee retention is top of mind today, isn't it?
It really is. I'm hearing it from clients and business owners throughout the U.S. It's just a challenge to get good people.
Yeah, definitely.
And to keep them.
Yeah, to keep them. I think once you have them, that's the big thing. So it looks like Connie's just joined us from Lexington. Hello, Connie. Good to see you. So, well, Sandy, you want to go ahead and share your screen, and let's dive right in here.
All right.
And again, if you have any questions or comments, just go ahead and in the chat there, and we'll keep an eye on them, and we'll talk to Sandy as we go along. So, Sandy?
Thanks so much. All right. So if you are so inclined, let me click on here. Back. There we go. In the chat, if you also want to turn this into a little bit of a mini networking event, feel free to share your name, your company name, and who you're looking for in terms of a customer, because that's what we're all here for, is to help out each other. So if you are familiar with Zoom, you know in the chat feature where it says to and you can put a name, or it says everyone. If you go to the right, there's 3 little dots. And if you click on that, you can save the chat. And that way you'll have everyone's contact information. So feel free to share your contact information or anything that you want other business owners to know about you. So let's jump in and talk about retention and getting the right people. So as a coach, I'm not a consultant, I'm a coach. And there's a difference. If you think about, if you've played any sports, you know the coach works with you on skills and drills. But when it's time to take the field, you have to do the work. And I'm going to be the same way today. I'm going to give you some tips and tools, and I'm right there to be your cheerleader. But it's going to be up to you to do the work. So we're going to talk about attracting the right candidates. We're going to talk about being efficient in your hiring process, and how to get your new team members up and running quickly and effectively? And finally, how do you keep people once you get good people in the door? So I want to take just a minute and tell you about who I am. As Dave mentioned, I have been in corporate America. I have owned 2 businesses of my own. I've been a business owner. Especially as an HR professional, I've hired and fired a lot of people. And my goal in being a business coach is to help other business owners be as effective as possible while still maintaining a great family life. And that's probably the most important thing I want everybody to know about me. I have 2 amazing children, Jeff and Diana, and I am the proud grandmother of these 5 sweet people that you see on your screen right now. In my spare time, I am a volunteer instructor for the Louisville Skating Academy. I teach in the therapeutic skating program, which serves our special needs athletes. And I was very excited that we were able to continue that later on in COVID. And the other thing I do in my free time is aerial fitness. If any of you grew up like you used to hang upside down on the monkey bars, well, I'm still doing that. So that is me on a trapeze. If you haven't tried it, it's a lot of fun. So that's just a little bit about me. I am a business coach. I work with businesses to help them grow in a way that's successful and sustainable. I'm also an employee engagement advisor, and there's a slight difference there. We talk about it in terms of the heart and the brain. Okay, the brain side, that's easy. You can develop a procedure, you can develop a process. The heart side is, how do you communicate with people? How do you share your values? How do you live your values? The reality is you can't split them. You have to have both sides of your business. Think of your body. You have a heart and you have a brain. They both have to work, and they both have to work together for you to function. Your business is the same way. For today, I want to change your terminology a little bit. Any of you who have had teenage kids and you've said, can you do this? Or did you know this? What do you get? You get the eye roll. Yeah, I know, Mom. As adults, we're a little more subtle about it. We kind of do one of these things. But the truth is, whenever you say, I know, you kill the possibility that maybe you could learn something from the conversation. So for today, I'd like you to skip the I know, and instead of that, say, well, isn't that interesting? And that way we can truly make this a great conversation. And I do want to encourage you, put things in the chat. If it's something you want to know right away, I'll be happy to take questions throughout the presentation. And I've allowed for time at the end as well. So we're in a very, very unique employee situation right now. It's a challenge. There just aren't as many people out looking for jobs. The ones who are very qualified already have jobs. And so we're trying to extract them from where they're at to come and work for us. Well, here's the other side of that problem. Every other employer is doing the same thing, and they want to take our talent. So we were headed into this situation pre-COVID where we were at very full employment, and we are way back there right now. There were a lot of people who either lost their jobs or have reevaluated what they're doing and really are being picky about what it is they want to do. So your first question is to figure out, what kind of talent are you really looking for? Are you looking for A players? Are you looking for B players? Or do you just want somebody to show up? And the second question you need to ask is, will the people that you are looking for want to come and work for your company? What do you offer besides a paycheck? So once you know who you're looking for and what you have to offer, then you're ready to really start looking. And I want to break this down into 4 steps. The first thing is to create a business that is attractive, that people want to work for you. The next step is getting the right candidate that fits with your organization and with your team. Once you've hired somebody, you're not done. You really have to put some time and effort into training them and making them become productive. And finally, you have to make sure that you have an environment that engages your employees so that they feel valued, they feel happy, and they will stay. So you've seen this graphic before, getting the right people on the bus. Okay, gonna ask a painful question. If you could start your business over again tomorrow, how many people, including yourself, would you not rehire? I don't know about you. I've hired some people I shouldn't have. It's a mistake I don't want to make again. I don't want you to make that mistake either. And yes, there were days that my name was on that list. So attracting the right talent, it starts with, what is the candidate looking for? It's probably a lot more than salary. People are looking for flexible schedules. They're looking for benefits. They're looking for opportunities for growth. They're looking for interesting work. So you have to let people know all the different things that you offer. Make sure they know that this is going to be more than a paycheck, that this is not temporary seasonal work. You want to invest in them so that they contribute to your company. So where do you find them? I call the first method literally shaking the trees. Ask everybody you know. Let people know that you're hiring. I had a client recently that they have been looking for people for months. Nowhere in their website does it say anything about them hiring. Use your social media. Use the people you know. Talk to people at church, at networking events. Ask your employees, who would they recommend? If you're involved in any professional associations or any trade associations, let everybody know that you are hiring. Yes, absolutely use some of the services that are out there. Use job boards at churches, universities, community colleges. They all have job boards, and of course they're all electronic now. Well, it might be a bulletin board in some of those places. Recruiters are also a good source. Yes, you have to pay them, but think about your time. There's a value to your time as well. I want to talk a little bit more about social media and SEO friendly job ads. So SEO is search engine optimization. That is, how does Google or Explorer find you? So when you are creating a job ad or any kind of posting, please use a regular job title. Having something clever out there, like in this case, I used Java Wizard was one that I found. Nobody knows what that is. You're either looking for a web developer or you're looking for a sales manager. You've got to use the terms that people are going to search for. Being clever is great, but nobody's going to find you. Make your text really easy to read. Think about it. Everyone is using this. It's a pretty small screen. So blocks of text can be a real challenge. Bullet points are better. So take a look at anything you do on your phone, see what it looks like. Especially with people searching for jobs, they are using their mobile devices. And then make sure that you're using relevant keywords. Use the words that people are going to be looking for. You shouldn't be using an excessive amount of jargon. especially if it's somebody that you plan to train. People are going to be more likely to find your job if you mention job-related duties, skills, or tools. In other words, generic text that could apply to almost anybody isn't going to do you any good in finding the right candidates. If there's a skill that you are looking for, that should be in your ad. And finally, grab my attention. You want your ad to be visually appealing. The more visual you are making it, you're going to increase your searchability. And so using ads, using great pictures really is an effective tool. And please do this on your career page as well. Post pictures of your facility or your restaurant or your office, and include some videos of your teams with their permission, of course. But that really gives people a good sense of who you are and a little bit more about the job. So be very visual, use bullet points, and tell people what it is you're looking for. So how do you create a company that people want to work for? Finding employees always starts with a strong leader. Think about a business you know who's had the same employees for 10 or more years. And now think about why. You've probably heard it before. Employees don't quit jobs, they quit managers. So if you aren't a strong leader or manager, or the people that you're promoting don't have management skills, get training on how to manage people. You're investing an awful lot in hiring these people and training them. Make that further investment in teaching people how to be managers. Especially here in the US, we are really great at looking around the room and saying, oh, who's been here the longest? And we promote that person, but we don't always give them the tools to manage people. So make that investment in your leaders, or possibly even in yourself. So the way you do that, or the way you build a workplace that people want to work for, starts with your vision, your mission, and your culture. So the vision and the mission are kind of the big picture. Why are we here? What is it that we're trying to do? Who are we trying to be? Why do we exist? And then how do you intend to go about it? I didn't want to pick out any particular industry because I wasn't sure who was going to be on here. So I pulled up the mission statement for the United States Figure Skating Association because I was pretty sure that wouldn't be duplicated here. Their mission is, we create and cultivate opportunities for participation and achievement in figure skating. So the mission's a pretty simple, but it's a very direct statement. The vision for them is, together we foster fun and inspire a lifelong passion for skating while developing champions on and off the ice. So your vision and mission truly is the big picture. Why are we here? What is it we want to do? And then how are we going to do it? The third piece of this is your culture. And it really starts with your core values. And your core values are what's important to you that you want to be important to the entire company. So maybe it's honesty, maybe it's integrity, maybe it's respect, maybe it's all of those. So having those core values is the environment that you're going to create. But it's a little bit more than just having them. You actually have to live them. So something like resilience, something like respect. We value each other's voices. We value everyone's contributions. We value everyone's well-being. That's a core value. Think about what your own core values are, and then how can you adapt those for your company? What kind of environment do you want to go to work in? That's really the best place to start. So you really need to be leading with your vision, your mission, and your culture. Don't just hang it up on the wall and forget about it. It's a living, breathing thing. When problems and challenges come up, go back to your vision, your mission, and your culture. When something went wrong, how did we fail to deliver on our mission? Why wasn't that customer satisfied? What values do we need to improve upon? Do we need to have better communication? Do we have to really respect each other? One of the exercises that I would encourage you to do is pick a core value of the week. You've got your 4 or 5 core values. You might have 12, whatever that number is. Pick one each week to focus on. And then when you see someone actually living that value, celebrate it, comment on it, thank them for it. So if your core value of the week is positivity, and you have that person that was in a very challenging situation and was able to just shrug it off and say, that's okay. That's positivity, and that's what you want to recognize. So make it a living, breathing thing. If you don't currently have a vision, a mission, and a culture, take an hour or so and put some things down on paper. Share it with your team and come up with what you really want your business to be. Once you have that in place and you're really living it, people will want to come and work for you. So let's move on to finding the right candidate. I'm going to flip this around a little bit. When you hire somebody, it's really not a selection process. It's more a deselection process. Remember my question about everyone being on the bus? And sometimes you've hired the wrong person. You really want people to weed themselves out first. So give your candidates multiple steps and multiple opportunities to opt out. One way you can do that is to do group interviews and have people look around the room and go, no, this isn't for me. I know that's something that people go, whoa, you want me to bring everybody in at once? Try it. It's very effective. Another thing you can do is if someone applies online, first thing you do, email them a couple of quick questions. See who responds. If they don't respond, they're probably going to ghost the interview or not show up for work anyway. That's your first screening. From there, maybe do a phone screen. Again, set it up, time, I will call you at this number. They don't answer, they've just opted out themselves, and you're not going to waste any more time on them. Finally, you can do either an in-person or a video interview as another screening process. So give people the opportunity to opt out. You've seen the resume and you're okay with that. Then you're going on to the next step. Now, instead of the mind, look at the heart. Ask questions like, tell me something that you really enjoy. Find out what their passion is. Tell me your favorite thing about your last job. Find out what really got them excited about it. Another thing to do is ask culture fit questions. Tell me about a time that you helped a teammate and see what that answer is. Because if one of your values is cooperation and respect, you want to hear how they handled that. So you can read skills from a resume. You can give a skills test. Your challenge is to find out What kind of employee are they going to be? One of my favorite interview questions is, when you looked at our website, what stood out to you? This is a very open-ended question. It's going to tell you a few things. Did they even bother to look at the website? Do they know what you do? Did they notice any customer reviews? Do they understand what your list of services is? Did they read any blogs? Find out what they gravitated to. That's going to tell you a lot about whether or not they're going to be a fit. So let's talk about whether or not it's a fit. Okay, we've all spent 2020 at home, maybe not doing our regular activities. And then when we went to put on that pair of jeans, they may or may not have been a fit. The candidates are the same way. If it's not a fit, say so. Do yourself and them a favor. You don't want to continue through this process and put the wrong person in a role where they cannot succeed. So if it's not a fit, thank them, wish them well, move on. The next thing, you've got the person, you're excited about them. Now what do we do with them? Well, sometimes we put them at a desk or a counter and you say, read this or watch these videos, and then you walk away. That is really not helpful for you or for them. If they're bored in those first couple days because all they're doing is reading a manual or sitting there and they're not talking to anybody, they don't see what's happening, they're probably not going to stick around. This is probably the biggest area for improvement in most businesses. Do not ever tell me that you do not have time to train a new employee. I know you could do it faster yourself, but then you have to do it from now on. So do you really not have time to take 30 minutes to show someone this and then they can do it from now on? Or do you want to take 30 minutes a day for the rest of your life to keep doing it? Allow time for questions. And remember, if somebody did it right the first time, they may have just gotten lucky. So have them demonstrate skills multiple times and create a safe environment so that if they have that same question again in 2 weeks, it's okay. Very few of us can learn something first time, every time, when there's an awful lot to learn. Repetition is important. So allow for questions and be understanding if questions are repeated. Have a plan. There should be a general plan for everyone who joins your organization. Introduce them. Here's the company. Here's the leaders. One of the things that I should have known earlier but had to add to my onboarding in my last position was putting up pictures of the CEO and the various executives so that if somebody walked by them in the office, they knew who that was. It's simple little things like that. So who's the leadership? Who are the other members of your team? What is the vision, the mission, and the values here? In other words, what are the rules of the game? And by that, I mean things like, well, we always do this, or we never do this. It's got to be part of your onboarding and training. So I have on here, I put the 6 weeks in parentheses under a training plan. 6 weeks typically is optimal, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer. But remember, training is not about timing, it's about mastering skills. So if you allow 2 days for something and the person masters it in 1 day, great, move on. If they don't quite have it at the end of day 2, move it on into day 3. You really want to look for the skill mastery, not, oh, it's Wednesday, you should be done with this, because we all learn at different paces. Remember that, yes, this is going to take time for the trainer. It's going to take time away from their job, but we know that one of the #1 ways to learn something is to teach it. So chances are they're going to learn something new themselves as they're training people. So create a plan. Make sure people know what's expected of them. For those of you who don't know on that one line, KPIs are key performance indicators. So what is it that you are looking for them to master? And at what level should they be able to do it? Make sure that people are taking notes, that they have something to refer back to, even if you have a manual for them. As you're training people, stop and ask. So what was the #1 thing you learned today? The answers might surprise you, but it also forces the person who is doing the training to really think about, oh, that's something I didn't know, or that's something I know I'm going to use. So training does take time, but it is an investment that will more than pay for itself. If someone goes to demonstrate a skill and they aren't able to do it, take a look at your training plan, take a look at the documentation that you gave them. Maybe that needs to be tweaked as well. But again, training is about skills, not about timing. So here's a quote that many of you have seen before. My employees are the most motivated and energetic, committed, enthusiastic, and loyal people, except for the 8 hours a day they work for me. Hopefully you can't relate to this, but I know many of us have had this experience. Our goal is to change that word except to especially. And that happens with people being excited and enthusiastic about their jobs. Yes, it's a job, but it's okay to have fun too. It's okay to have a lighthearted atmosphere, even if you are an accounting firm in the middle of tax season. We still want to feel that we're human, we're not machines. So let's talk about employee engagement. And what do I mean by employee engagement? The employee wants to know that they matter, that their skills matter, that their efforts matter. An employee is always asking, what's in it for me? Same thing your customers do. What's in it for me? So your job as the employer is to create that environment that people can really grow and feel passionate about what they do, that they feel connected, that they know that what they are doing has value. When you do that, you're going to see amazing results. Your customers are going to be thrilled, and you're going to have a positive financial impact. So that's why employee engagement is so important. We talk about 3 levels of employee engagement. The red, they're just physically there, but they're really not contributing. These are the highly disengaged employees. These are the ones you're asking, why are you here? Your disengaged employees, if it's in their job description, they'll do it. They'll do it between 8 and 5 or between 3 and 6, whatever their shift is. But at 5:01, forget it. And then you've got the highly engaged employees. These are the people that go beyond expectations, and they really give your company a competitive advantage. They're the problem solvers. They're the ones that know that they're contributing, that they feel comfortable contributing, and that they are appreciated for what they contribute. The whole idea behind employee engagement is to move people from the red into the green. Globally, 20% of the workforce is considered highly engaged. So think about that. That's 20% of the people in the green. It's really not a very big number. In the United States, we're doing a little bit better. And I did not update this slide yet because the report just came out a few days ago. In the US, we are looking at about 34% highly engaged employees. So that's about a third of the workforce is considered highly engaged. I love this graphic because it's a great way to explain your organization. The ones in green, the highly engaged, they're out there, they're rowing, they are moving the organization forward. They know where they're going. The disengaged group, the ones in yellow, they're on the boat, they're really enjoying the view. Then you've got the highly disengaged employees, and they literally are sabotaging your organization. They are dragging things down. Here's the really scary number about those people. 34% of their salary is wasted. You run the numbers on that, that adds up to a whole lot of money. Now, as I've been describing these people, I guarantee every one of you has put names in each category, whether it's somebody that is currently in your company or somebody that you've worked with before. Because we all know somebody who's in the red, we all know somebody who's in the green, and we all know a whole lot of people who are in the yellow. So you usually have a good idea of who's who in the business, and it really is better if you can change the culture, if you can move people out of the red into the yellow and the green. Again, why is employee engagement important? I'll let you read this slide yourself. We know that companies who have highly engaged workforces really are more effective. But perhaps the biggest thing that I really want to point out is they have less turnover. When people feel engaged, they have that sense of belonging. They have that sense that they have value and they're effective, and they are far more likely to stay. So, keys to a winning team. Number one, as I mentioned, leadership. It is really important that you be a strong leader, whether you are the business owner or the team lead or the manager or whoever. Show leadership and encourage leadership. Leader and manager don't have to be the same person. You can have a strong leader as your frontline person on the cash register. So encourage that leadership. Make sure everybody knows what the goals are and that everybody shares those goals. I mentioned earlier, rules of the game. This is how we behave. This is how we treat customers. This is how we treat each other. These are, if you are in an industry that is highly regulated, and I'll use the example of medical with HIPAA. The rules of the game are, we do not violate HIPAA, and here are the things you should know. Make sure there's an action plan and that everybody knows what it is. This is where we're going. This is how we are going to get there. Support risk taking. Allow people to say, can we try it like this? Because if they're the ones doing it every day, they probably have really good ideas. So encourage that. And make sure that people feel that they can be included, that they can really share their ideas, and that they feel like they're part of the team. I'm going to give you a little scary statistic here. 59% of Americans believe that corruption is widespread in businesses. You can counteract that with your team by making sure they know what you believe in, what your goals are, and how you expect them to behave. And again, going back to that mission, vision, and culture, live your values. So, what do? Let's start off talking about rewards and recognition. We are so quick to correct people and to point out when they do things wrong. Make it a habit to point out when people do things well. Show your appreciation. Even if it's just something as simple as, hey, great job with that customer. I know they were really giving you a hard time. That goes a really long way. I'm not talking about $500 bonuses or gift cards. I'm talking about literally a pat on the back. And make sure that you're encouraging your employees to recognize each other. It doesn't always have to come from the manager. Do regular check-ins with your employees. How's it going? What happened with that customer? What do you need from me? Let them know that you are a part of the team, not just the person in the corner office. Again, I mean, you're going to hear me say this multiple times. Communicate and then live your values. If honesty is really important to you, be honest with your employees. Sometimes that means saying, I don't know. We had a lot of that in 2020, and people really appreciated it. Make sure that everybody knows that what they do matters and why. Where does this role fit in? Why do we have this job? And when people know that, they really can feel connected to their team and to the company. As I mentioned, foster innovation and risk-taking. This past winter, I did an employee engagement survey for a local company. And one of the things that the employees mentioned was that they did not feel comfortable making suggestions about how to do things. And this was a really big surprise to the business owners. And so we spent a lot of time talking about how do you foster that innovation? How do you create that environment where people will speak up? Communication is always key when you are dealing with people. So over communicate. Make sure people know when to approach you, how to approach you, and that you are approachable. That they should be talking to each other. Foster that communication. And part of that communication is that big picture. Make sure everybody knows what the vision and the mission of the company is. Repeat it frequently. Bring it into conversations. Encourage your employees to say how what they do fits into the big picture. Saying, I make a small widget that allows you to steer your car is a much different statement than, yeah, I make auto parts. Which employee is going to be happier with their job? Another thing is anytime a customer has a great experience or writes a review, be sure to acknowledge whoever was involved with that. Let your employees see themselves as part of your success. And finally, let your employees get to know each other. There are different departments, different areas that have very interesting people. Let people socialize, get to know each other, and make sure that they can see, oh, okay, so what I do then goes to this department and then they do this. Oh, so if I don't come to work today, then that slows down these other people. Or the person on the end saying, hey, thanks, you got that to me early and I was able to get that order out for the customer on time. So create those connections within your organization. So we talked about these 4 steps, and hopefully I've given you some ideas on each of them. So now it's time for my sales pitch. You have a decision to make today. If you want more results, it's time for a coach. I am an accountability partner to my clients. I help them plan and then take the steps to execute. If your concern is employee engagement, it's time to put some things in place for an employee engagement program. Or you can say, hey, it's cool, I got this. I do offer free strategy sessions to any business owner. This is an opportunity for you to have a third party take a look at your business, give you some ideas. This is a no cost, no obligation thing. This is just for you as the business owner to have someone else take a look at things and give you some ideas. The other thing I want to offer you today is an employee engagement survey. This is done online. It is completely anonymous. It takes your employees anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes to complete. Some people take longer if they get wordy on the end, but it's think of it as a temperature check of your organization. It's an opportunity for you to really hear what people are thinking and that maybe they're not comfortable saying out loud to you, but still very important for you to know what is going on, what they are thinking. So the employee engagement survey is part of our Engage and Grow program. And then I will do a debrief with you to talk about the results and what it means and what your next steps would be to improve the situation. So at this point, I do want to open it up for questions.
All right. That was, oops. Jeez. There we go. I kept on popping in and out there. That was awesome. Thank you, Sandy.
Oh, my pleasure.
I like what you said about, and it's so true about, people don't leave jobs, they leave bosses basically. And other than kind of a lot of a churn, are there other ways that you as a leader can self-identify that you might need to change your ways somewhat? Are there other telltale things that me as a leader would want to look out for to kind of keep my workforce stable?
The first thing to look out for is your own energy. Do you leave each day just exhausted, emotionally exhausted? If that's the case, check your language. Check how you're spending your time. Are people relying on you to do things that they should be doing? Are you micromanaging? Or are you, because you're stressed, demanding things of people that they're not capable of doing? So you've hired these people. If you've trained them properly, let them do their job. So yeah, it's a lot of self-checking. And it literally starts with, how do I feel at the end of the day? The other thing for leaders is check out your communication style. There are many tools out there. We use DISC and motivators. And maybe it isn't how you lead, it's how you're communicating to people. If you are one of those very direct, brief, boom, this is how you do it, and yet your employees are the type that need step-by-step instructions, you're going to have a problem. So understanding your communication style and your employees' communication style is another way to improve that.
That's a good tip. One of the guys that kind of got me into this line of work, Joe Reagan, he always said he wanted to build a self-managed organization. And that's kind of what you're talking about there, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if you have employees, you mentioned that really salary is not one of the major issues. I mean, what other strategies would you use? Is it the culture, or is it just stuff that you give your employees, or is it a combination of both?
Salary and benefits is important. Very few of us would go to work for free.
Oh yeah.
And I'm the first to admit that. But The biggest thing, especially in younger people, is they want to know that what they do matters. And, let's talk about janitorial work. Not very glamorous. And nobody really notices when it's done, but they notice when it's not done. If you've ever lived in a city where the garbage men went on strike, all of a sudden you have a new appreciation for what they do. So I don't care where the job is in the organization, there's a reason that job exists. And your job as the leader is to make sure that the person in that job knows, hey, without you, we can't do this, this, and this. Give them value. And that will make a difference. So that's one of the biggest things. People want to know that what they do matters.
Interesting. I just reread the other day, over the weekend actually, Malcolm Gladwell's The Tipping Point, and he talks about, change in one kind of variable kind of sets a cascade of other positive effects in any type of system. And I'm reminded of that, what you're talking about. Is there, like if I'm worried about my culture, if I'm worried about myself as a leader, if I'm worried about keeping my employees, I mean, what would be the first place to start to make that first change to kind of maybe get your culture or your business into a tipping point situation?
I think the first thing is to make yourself visible in the organization and to talk to people. Because if they know who you are, if they know what you're about, then they're going to start to look at the organization in a different way. I had a client, they've had a problem employee for a couple of years, and they've never taken any action against this person. And so that became the level of acceptable behavior. A new leader came in, and for the first time, I mean, this woman was using foul and abusive language to other employees. And for the first time, she's been written up and was sent home for the afternoon because that behavior is not acceptable. That's going to be a tipping point in that organization. No, this is not our value, and we're not going to tolerate that. But it took a new leader to come in and take that step to make that tip.
Yeah. I like what you were saying about the employee engagement survey. So what exactly do you ask? What do you get at?
It's pretty simple stuff. Would you recommend others to work here?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel what you do matters? Is your work interesting? So they're pretty simple questions. There is one at the end where you can type in free text, but it literally is 10 questions about, getting to why do people work here? And when you see that graph printed out and how much is red, how much is yellow, and how much is green, it can be pretty eye-opening. And simple comments like, I don't feel like my voice is heard. That tells me that a staff meeting is the boss telling everybody what's going to happen with no discussion.
Yeah.
So allowing communication, communication, we know it's a two-way thing. The measure of communication is what the other person heard. What message did they receive? And if all I'm doing is telling my employees in a very abrupt tone, we got to do better this week, that's really not going to motivate them.
Mm-hmm.
Saying to my employees, okay, we had some challenges last week. What do you think we could do differently this week? Is there something we should change? Do we need different tools? Do we need more training? Do we need to adjust our timeline? And getting their input, that 100% involvement, will be the secret to changing that situation.
Yeah, interesting. A mentor of mine always told me that a good leader always speaks last. That's kind of what you're pointing to there.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Your employees are the ones who are really doing the work. They're down in the weeds. They have really, really good ideas. They are the experts, and your job is to listen to them.
Nice. So if you guys have any questions, you want to put them in the chat there, and we'll jump in and get to them. Or if there's any questions there on Facebook, go ahead and type them in, and we'll get to those as well. I like the visual you showed about the three categories of engaged or disengaged employees. So what would you recommend to some strategies if given you have a small percentage of engaged employees? I mean, what would be a good strategy to start to trying to move some of your yellows up into the greens or the reds up to the yellows?
You know, every employer has a mentoring program, whether you know it or not. So if the person sitting next to you is on their phone checking Facebook for, I don't know, 10, 12 times a day, and then they're on Instagram, and you put a new employee next to them, that's their mentor. They see that as acceptable behavior. So making the green employees the mentors, sprinkling them throughout the organization, puts that peer pressure in place as well. So pairing up the new employees and saying, this is what I expect is part of it, but encouraging your superstars to, hey, can you ask Susie to help you on that? Give her that training and that confidence and that, oh yeah, I could do this too. That will make a difference. Leaders who walk around the organization and know people's names and ask how they're doing today, that really motivates people. Oh, did you see the president just knew my name? Wow. That person is going to give that little bit more. And it's those small steps that will move them up into the green.
Wow. That was great. Well, looks like that's all the questions we have. We're kind of up at the top of the hour. And Sandy, I really appreciate your time today. This has been great, and I recommend everybody out there reach out to Sandy. There's her contact info right there on the screen. Take advantage of some of the things that she's offered to you. She's a superb resource. And just one little look here. No, nothing else has come through. So I guess we'll call it a day. Thanks everyone for joining us today for another Toolkit Tuesday. I'm Dave Etkin with the Small Business Development Center here in Louisville, Kentucky. There's Sandy. And Sandy, I want to thank you again. And there's her contact info. So reach Sandy at that, and or you, at her email or her phone number there, or you can reach out to us if we can help you, the Louisville Small Business Development Center at louisvillesmallbusiness.com. We'd be happy to help you. So with that, we'll call it a day. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sandy.
My pleasure. And I look forward to meeting some of you face to face one of these days. And I'm happy to help any business owner anytime.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody, and have a good Tuesday.